right, take over your computer. All right, share screen. Okay. So this is the beginning stages of the project number 2 from your book. And last time, we talked about how you can create custom colors and custom gradients in InDesign. Today I'm going to show you some more advanced techniques of how to import an image into InDesign. The images we're going to be looking at, if you download the folder from Moodle, it's called the Jazz poster. And so it's in the Jazz folder. We're going to be working with this image, this one, and later on, oh yeah, there it is, the outline of this guy. And we'll also flow in some text if you get further on in your book. So let's see. I'm going to drag this off to the side and just kind of recreate it for you. But this is kind of what we're going to be working towards if you can get to this stage by today. Let me get rid of that picture inside of it as well. So when we last left off, excuse me, we created a orange rectangle inside of it. What we're going to do is we're going to place a picture inside of this rectangular frame. Remember, if you want to put text inside of your document, you got to have a text frame. Or if you want to put a picture, you got to have a picture frame. And that's what this is going to act as. When you created this frame, however, there was 2 different rectangles you can choose from. First, there was the quote rectangle frame tool, and then there's just the regular rectangle tool. Both of these, they seem very confusing, but I'll tell you what the difference of them is. With the rectangle tool, if I was to click and drag, you can see I can create just a regular rectangle. If I was to choose the rectangle frame tool, click and drag, do you see the difference between the two? See how it's got the blue X in it? The frame tool is designed to hold some sort of content. Just like a picture frame holds pictures, the rectangle frame tool holds pictures in itself. The regular rectangle tool just makes rectangular objects and shapes. If you accidentally make a regular rectangle, let's say I want to just draw one off with this rectangle, that looks like this, and you want to convert it, say, uh-oh, I need to put a picture in there. I need to convert this to a framed rectangle. Here's how you can do it. Go up to Object. First of all, have it selected. Go to Object. Go down to, there it is, Content, so the content of this object, and you can see now it's unassigned. So if you wanted to put a graphic or a picture into it, you would check it off. Now you've got your X going through it, and you can put a picture into it. And you also saw some of the other content. If you needed it to be a text box, you can click Text, and now I can choose my Type tool and actually type inside of it as well. So even if you accidentally make it one thing and need it to be another thing, that's how you can quickly change it up. However, check this out. Notice I've typed in some type there. If I was to go to the Content, Object, Content, I can't change it up because I have type that's inside of it now. Once you commit it to having an object or text, it's got to stay that type of box. Does that make sense? So, if I was to delete it, however, let's get rid of everything. I can still go back. Oops. Let's choose the right tool to Content. Now I can change it back to a graphic, so on and so forth. So, that's what you'll have to do for this one. They'll ask you to do it with a regular rectangle tool, but to convert it to a frame, you just go to Object, change its content to a graphic, and now you can put in a graphic. So let's do that for this first one. To place a picture, remember you can go to File, and down to Place. Notice Command D is the keyboard shortcut. I remember that one as Drop, like you're going to drop in a picture. So Command D to do that. It's going to ask you to choose, I think, the sunset picture. Whenever you choose the sunset, we're going to place this picture, this picture into this frame. So we want to make sure that we're replacing whatever is selected. So it's going to place it into here. So I've got that one checked off. We'll hit OK. And so now it's placed inside of here as well. Remember, if you scroll over, you get this little circle in the middle. If you click on it, you can move your picture around inside the frame, and it will clip off, but you can still move it, kind of place it into place for it right there. So that's how you can easily, quickly place something into a rectangular frame. Here comes the advanced portion of this. what we want to do is we want to be able to make this blend, these colors blend into that gradient that we had in the background. In other words, I want to have everything looking that same shade of orange for what's inside of it. To do this, we'll need to open up the Effects palette. If you don't see the Effects palette on the right hand side, you can always go to Window and then check off Effects. It'll open up. With the effects selected, make sure you've got your picture selected. This will allow you to blend the pixels that are inside of inside the text frame. Let me zoom in so we can see what's going to happen. So I've got it selected, got my effects open. First thing it's going to ask us to do is to change our blending mode. By default, it's always normal. If you've ever worked in Photoshop, this is going to look a little familiar too. So I'm going to click on normal, and they're going to ask you to change it to screen. When I do that, you can see now it's changing up the pixel colors. They're screening it and multiplying it. It's all math. It's like an algorithm that it uses to give you that those pretty colors that we want to work with. So even though it had different ones, now they're all kind of a similar shade. And that's what we're working for from here. All right. If I was to click off, that looks pretty good, but I've got one problem. I've got that hard edge along the image that we placed in there, and I don't want to have that. I want it to gradually fade into the picture. To do this, we need to apply what's called a special effect to it. I'm going to click on the icon again, so I've got my picture selected. To make it fade, we're going to choose an option from the FX button at the bottom right hand side of your effects menu, and we're going to choose Gradient Feather. And I'll bring up this dialog box. This is a fun little effect that will allow you to mask away specific areas of an image. By default, you can see it's starting to mask away. You can't see the right side of this image, but you can see the left side. And that's where these options come in. First of all, you can set the angle that it's going to be at. You can see right now it's at 0. The book's going to recommend it being at -90, so it's going to be straight up and down. Let's see, I'm going to click off of it, or you can even click on the little dealie and turn it this way. It's good. -90. Just type it in that way. Now you can see it's actually masking away that area and fading easily into there. If you did want more control, you can click on this gradient slider and move it closer towards the edge, and you can see now you can see more of the area up top, and it fades down at the bottom. Or if I wanted it to fade more quickly, I can bring this edge up. You can see now it's completely masked out that area, but you can see the top edge. That's what this effect is doing. It's masking over that area, and I want to bring it down so we can actually see it. So when I say OK now, we'll commit to it. Now check out that bottom edge. It's completely got rid of that hard line, and it's fading in from one to another. That's what that effect allows you to do from there. And there's some other type of things you can control as well. You can control the opacity, you can control the layers, different types of things from that. But that's what the effects menu allows you to do. The next thing that's a little more advanced is how can we place a picture in something that's not square or not circular? By default, InDesign comes with some different types of frames you can work in. There's a rectangle, there's an ellipse, it'll give you a circular frame, there's a polygon frame tool. But what if you wanted an outline like this guy to be able to place an image into there and have it masked away and cut out? Here's how you can do it in InDesign. First of all, we need to load up this guy's image. And we've got an image that's saved, so we're going to go to File and Place. And it's called the Jazzman Outline. And it's a .ai. That's an Adobe Illustrator file. Do y'all remember what Adobe Illustrator does or what makes it unique? Do you remember, John?
Yeah.
Did you learn, Edward? What? Okay. Adobe Illustrator is what's called vector format. It works in vectors. Rather than having a bunch of pixels to deal with, you actually have individual points that you're drawing with. So this image right here actually has every little line that you see is has a point that's associated with it, and there's no pixels that make it up. I know that's like a horrible definition that I gave to you, but trust me on it. AI is a vector format, and it's not like anything like a JPEG. So what we want to do is let's load in this vector image. I'm not going to replace anything. I just kind of want it to stand on its own. So I'm going to uncheck replace selected item. We'll say open. This time it's going to follow my mouse around until I click somewhere. So I'm going to click it. Undo that. Click just once. Make sure you don't click and drag. That's what I did. And so now he's placed onto my image. Notice that there's it's transparent around the background. That's normal. That's what it should look like. So it shouldn't have white on the back. I'm going to move him over. Notice also whenever I move it, the computer doesn't know how to render the background. So if that happens, if it's starting to show the background image as not being gradient, that's totally normal. When you let go of your mouse, it'll come back, snap back to normal as well. I'm going to follow along my instructions just to make sure I do it correctly for you. So this guy is going to be our frame. So let's see how we can convert his shape, his whole image, into a specific frame by itself. The first thing it's going to ask you to do is to go up to, with him selected, Object, go down to, go down to Clipping Path. We're going to open up the Clipping Paths options. And that's what this one will do. Always make sure a preview is turned on so you can see what you're doing. Clipping Path will look at your object, and especially if it's vector, it'll make an outline of it. So we're going to change our type to detect the edges. Aha! Do you see the little points along the edge? Those are your vector lines. I told you it was made up of a bunch of little points, and you can see all those points are going around the edge of our object. Now I've got the outer edge, but also notice there's an inside edge that I need to get to. So what I want to do is include the inside edges of the frame. With that one selected, now I've got the points turned on for the inside edge. Both of those are okay. We'll hit OK. It still looks the same. We're almost home. The last thing we need to do is to convert this to a frame itself. So I'm going to go back up to Object. Under the Clipping Path, we're going to convert the clipping path to a frame. Now it's a regular frame that we're working with. It's like a picture frame. I can actually put stuff into it. By default, whatever was inside of it, this black area, is what's inside the frame. So if I was to click now and drag, see, I can click and move the black outline that was there, and you can see it still keeps that picture frame edge to it. If I hit delete, I can delete it away. See, there's my crossing blue bars, which means that it's a picture frame. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
So we've made a custom picture frame that's cut out of his image. Now let's drop in the sunset picture, or the palms picture. I've got them selected. Do you remember what the keyboard shortcut to drop in a picture?
Command D.
Command D, good. Command D. It's going to ask you to put in this palms picture. We'll hit open. Excuse me, got to replace this one because we're going to place it inside of it. We'll hit open. It's going to still get me to do it. Now I've placed it inside of there. I can move it around, get it exactly where it should be going from there. We'll zoom back out. Looking pretty good. Very advanced technique. It took a few steps to be able to get that, but once you know you can do it, this is one thing you can do over and over and again. And it makes your designs look really, really cool. You can incorporate that somehow. I'm going to move it till the very bottom edge touches the bottom edge of there. If you need to zoom in, Command and the plus and minus sign, remember, is your zoom tool. Let's place them on the bottom edge. Right. Good enough right there. All right. Last thing that I got to, and if you can at least get to these pages, I think it stops around page 120. Yeah, page 122. Is we're going to start placing the text along the bottom edge of this as well. It's going to ask you to make 4 different text boxes. So let's zoom in. We're going to flow some text into it. Remember to make a text box. You got your type tool. I'm going to click and drag. For now, I'm just going to create 4 random text boxes. What is that doing back there? I'm going to make 4 of them. I don't really care what size they are right now. I'm going to hide my hidden characters. I'll show you about that in just a second. Remember, if you want to type in a specific size, and in our case it's going to give you the specific sizes, choose your text box, and up at the top left hand corner is where you can give it a specific placement and a specific height and width. When you do your placement, make sure that top left hand corner right here is selected and none of the other ones are selected. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to type in 1 inch, 12.45 inches, and with a width of, typing in for the wrong one. This one should be 1 inch, 11.25. There we go. The height of 1 and a width of 9. There we go. Same way for these. Frame 2 is 1, 12.45, 2.3, and 3.55. See, as I type it in, it'll automatically generate and place it exactly where it should go. Same way for the third one. 5, 12.455, 3.55. Hit return. Looks like I lost my other frame. We'll just quickly draw off another one. Cool. So now I've got 4 text frames that I need to be working with, and I'll be placing text inside of each one of those. Just like you can drop in a picture, you can also drop in text. So I'm going to choose this frame. Let's hit Command D. In our case, we're going to open up this Jazz Festival document. This is all the information that's going to be going on your Jazz Festival poster that you create. So I'll hit Open. And it's going to flow it into this, this first text box that we had selected. One thing to notice, however, there's not enough room to hold all the information. I know this because I've got a red button, a little red square at the bottom right hand side of this document. What I want to do is I want it to go from this document to this text box to this one down to this one. Here's how you can do that. Choose your text tool, type tool, click on, whoops, I'm sorry, not the type tool, just your regular selection tool. Click on the button down here. Now I've got the text following me. Wherever I click next, it will flow it into that next text box. So when I click here, all the information now fills up this one. As a matter of fact, if I keep clicking it, I can click this bottom text box and click here, then click here again and click this one. If I was to continue typing, let's grab my type tool and hit return, it'll automatically jump to another text box and go down there. Let's go down here, and now I can continue typing that way. That's how you can make text flow from one area of a page to another if it's all linked up together. Any questions before I move on? Real simple, easy breezy. The last thing it's going to get you to do is to start formatting the text. And it's going to do it using what's called your hidden characters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on what's called my hidden characters. You can do this by going to Type, and there's Show Hidden Characters. Hidden characters, these are little extra characters that are saved in the program that lets the whatever printer or whatever program you're using know whenever you hit a return, whenever you hit a space. They don't print themselves, that's why they're called hidden, but they indicate there's a change in the document somehow. One of the hidden characters you can do is called a frame break. So I'm going to choose my type tool. I want just Jazz Festival 2011 to be in this text frame. So I'm going to put my cursor right at the end of it. And I'm going to add a frame break right at the end of this particular area. To do that, go to Type. I'm going to insert a break character. This is the frame break. So now the only thing that'll stay in this frame is Jazz Festival. And if I could zoom in a little closer, it won't get much bigger. But this little character right there at the end, that's a special character that indicates, hey, everything that's after this has to go into a different frame. And you can see this one is your, does anybody know the name of this particular character?
All you gotta do is
something with paragraphs, maybe?
It does. It's a paragraph break character. Here's a trivia question or a trivia bit for you. It's called a pilcrow. If you ever see that type of character or that symbol, it's called a pilcrow, and just basically means it's another paragraph. It's a paragraph break from there. So, a little bit of extra information. I'm going to delete the pilcrow. Just bring that information back up there. What the book is going to ask you to do is at the end of each one, we're going to break off the information. So I want this paragraph to be in this text frame. So we'll go to type, insert a breaking character. It's going to be a frame break. There it is there. You can delete that pilcrow. And let's see, I think at the very bottom, I didn't get that far to it. Yeah, they just want the festival poster to, the website to be on there. So I've placed it at the end there. Object. Insert a breaking character, frame break. So now it's down there at the very bottom itself. If I was to hit return, no matter how many times I hit return, you can see it adds pilcrows to where I'm working at. But everything else stays in that particular frame by itself. The rest of the time is spent actually selecting the text, choosing the correct fonts, and formatting it, making it look good on your poster that you're building. All of that was kind of gone over in the first project, so I won't bore you and make y'all watch me do that. But I did want to go over this since it is a little bit more complicated. Any questions before I turn your computer back over to you? So if you can get as far as you can in Project 2, I'd like to finish up Project 2 by sometime next week. We'll see how far everyone gets today. It'll probably be next Thursday we'll finish up Project 2 from that as well. All right? Turn it back over to you. If you have any questions, all you got to do is let me know.